Hi everyone. I just heard about the movie on YouTube that is mocking the Islamic Prophet Muhammad, and the killings and the violence because of it. And I was shocked, and I thought, why are they doing this? I mean, I couldn't understand either. I couldn't understand why innocent people were killed because of a movie, and I couldn't understand why anybody would make such a movie. So I watched the movie on YouTube. It's on YouTube. I mean, at least the movie that has caused those killings. It's on YouTube. Everybody can watch it, and and I had some thoughts about it, and I want to share it with you. First and foremost, it has become obvious to me that the guy who made the movie, um, his intention, that was his intention. I mean, the movie is called The Innocence of Muslims, and it doesn't make the title doesn't make sense. And it doesn't have any connection with the movie itself, you know. Of course, of course, the title, "The Innocence of Muslims," is it's meant ironically, you know. It's ironic, but you don't really understand the irony of it until until what happened, people getting killed, Muslims rioting and killing innocent people, killing you an innocent U.S. ambassador who didn't have anything to do with anything. And then you understand the title. Then you understand the irony, how the title is meant ironically after the movie has caused people to commit violent acts. So it's obvious that this is precisely what the movie maker intended. You know. And if you watch the movie itself, there is really nothing. There's nothing good about this movie. I mean, it's a terrible movie. The acting is terrible. Everything is terrible. And the only point of this movie was to offend Muslims and cause them to commit violent acts, and then turn it around and say, look how peaceful and innocent Muslims are. They're killing people just because we made this movie. That's terrible. I mean, why would they make such a movie? why would they make a movie knowing that people will get killed because of this? I mean, I don't understand this, and I don't understand YouTube's point in this either. Why are they insisting on keeping such a movie? It's weird. I mean, I once made a video promoting religions like Christianity and Judaism, and this video was removed. There was nothing bad in this video I made. Well, I didn't make them, but anyway, I didn't make the movie, but I uploaded a video promoting religions like Christianity and Judaism, and it was removed by YouTube. No explanation why. They just removed it. There was no copyright infringement either. I mean, I didn't make the movie, but I knew the guy who made it. So, but they removed a video promoting religion, but they refusing to remove a video which is mocking religion and has caused violence and innocent people to die. And I don't understand YouTube in this. And of course, and I don't understand the filmmaker. Why would he make such a movie knowing what would happen if he wouldn't have made this movie? This U.S. ambassador and the other people that were killed, they would still be alive. So, and the same goes for YouTube. If YouTube had removed the video, they would be alive as well. So I think they are also guilty. But of course, it also caused me to question why were those people killed? I mean, it's a terrible movie, and it's blasphemous and it's offending. I'm not a Muslim, but it's offending. I think the movie is offending. you know. And I think the movie is bad. It's a terrible movie, but I wouldn't go around and, you know, kill people because of this. I mean, um, you know, look at South Park. Yeah, everybody knows South Park, right? The first two pilots of South Park, they, they were all the whole point of South Park initially was to mock Jesus. You know, they always had Jesus appearing and would mock him in the worst ways. You know, terrible. You know, and they would show the most blasphemous. They would come up with the most blasphemous things to blaspheme Jesus and to blaspheme other religious figures like Saint Mary, and you know, and it's terrible, you know. And but so many Christians have watched South Park and other things, you know, that they were mocking their religion in the worst possible manner, but nobody has ever gone around and you know, done any riots. Nobody would say, yeah, I'm gonna kill somebody because I watched South Park, you know, because it was mocking Jesus. No Christian would ever do that. I mean, you know, not even not anybody else. I mean, I don't know why is it that. I mean, this is done with every religion. Every religion nowadays gets mocked, gets insulted, and every religious figure and any god or any saint. They nowadays they all get insulted and blasphemed upon. I mean, this has almost become normal, especially in Germany. Once I turn on the TV, there's all kinds of things. Everybody gets insulted. I mean. But why is it that only when you do this with Muslims they turn violent? I mean, this also got me thinking. Of course, it's not all Muslims. Of course, I also, you know the difference. You know, I'm not saying all Muslims are like that, and maybe that was the point of the filmmaker, showing that all Muslims would be violent, but they are not. Not all Muslims are violent. Not every Muslim went around killing people. You know, most Muslims were not participating in those things. We're not participating in those riots and stuff. Most Muslims are very peaceful. You know, especially in China, in the I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. In the you know, in the Xinjiang regions, there are many Uyghur Muslims, and they were extremely peaceful. You know. But they always, and it's terrible what, you know, what the Communist Party is doing with those Muslims. They're, you know, they're basically trying to eradicate their culture, and they are forbidding them from practicing their faith. And it's terrible because, you know, most of those Muslims are extremely peaceful. Of course, there might be a handful that that turn violent, but then the Communist Party uses this as an excuse to, you know, persecute all those people, especially the ones that are peaceful. And so you can't generalize it. I mean, most Muslims are very peaceful. But some Muslims aren't, and you know, not everybody is the same, and it's very sad. It's very sad that this happened. It's very sad that those killings happened just because of this movie. I mean, and it doesn't make sense. I mean, and it also got me thinking. I mean, I respect Muslims, and I know many Muslims, and they're very peaceful. But well, some Muslims aren't, and you know, in the past, you know, when there was talk about, you know, 9/11 and stuff, I always defended Muslims, and I said, look, there is no connection between 9/11 and Islam, you know. I and I saw and I said things like Osama bin Laden is not even a Muslim in my opinion uh, he because the Quran also says some things about violence and stuff and about the things he's doing and he's killing innocent people and um, which precisely goes against the Quran. Osama bin Laden did things that went very much against the Quran and that are not representative of Muslims and Islam at all. So I always defended Muslims and said those terrorists, they're not even Muslims. You know, there is. I always defended it in that way, um, but in this case, it gets hard, for me to defend Muslims, and I'm not a Muslim, but um, you know, I know of course, most Muslims were not involved in those riots, but those that were, those were Muslims, you know. With Osama bin Laden, maybe you can say, okay, he's not even a Muslim. But those people who committed those violence acts this time, uh, which was also a September 11, uh, and who killed the U.S. ambassador and other innocent people, which had nothing to do with the movie. I mean, the guy who made the movie was not even was not even an American. So, but they just every time Mohammed gets insulted in some way, they use it as an excuse to kill some innocent Americans, which had nothing to do with it. And I don't get this. But and this time you cannot say that those were not Muslims. Maybe with Osama bin Laden, I used to say this, and I don't know if it's correct or not, but at least I used to say this and differentiate there and say Muslims are very peaceful, and Muslims would not act the way Osama bin Laden has acted. But this time, it's hard for me to say that because while most Muslims were very peaceful and did not commit acts of violence, some Muslims did, and those who did murder that uh, that U.S. ambassador and other innocent people because of this movie, uh, they were Muslims. Well, they must have been Muslims because if they wouldn't have been Muslims, they would not have been uh, in they would not have been insulted by the movie in such a way that they would have done that. So most Muslims are very peaceful and would never do anything like that. But some Muslims, you know, um, obviously uh, resort to violence, and that's very sad. And it's very sad that it was possible to make such a movie. It's very sad that um, the the filmmaker of this terrible movie um, was able to calculate this, was able to say, okay, let's make a movie that will cause Muslims to kill innocent people and thereby show people um, how violent Muslims are. It's very sad that he was able to do that. No, it's very sad that he was able that to make such a movie that is able to cause such things. Um, and it's totally pointless as well because um, yes, some Muslims are violent. We already know that, but he didn't prove the movie maker didn't prove any point because it's not like all Muslims are like that. It's not like all Muslims were involved in those riots. In every in every culture, you have good and bad people, and this movie maker is obviously not a good person because otherwise he would not have done a movie knowingly done a movie that would cause people that would offend people and cause people to commit violence. But it also, it's also very sad that it was that was even possible, um, to incite this violence by with such a simple movie. Um, and it's and there is a difference. I mean, it really is like Christianity, especially even even in the West, and especially in the West, where Christianity is popular. Christianity gets mocked every day, but no Christian no Christian has gone around killing innocent ambassadors because of watching South Park or whatever. So, so it got me thinking. So maybe it's a weird world. I mean, mm, it's it's very sad. Oh, right. Well, I think that's all I'm gonna say about this. Um, I just realized something uh, after I made this video just now, so I wanted to include my thoughts as well. Um, I just realized something is I will make when I get the time, I will make another video about communism, which is what I'm, I'm doing that a lot because, well, I really think, uh, communism has killed more people than uh, anything else. But um, anyway, doing my research for my next video on communism, I stumbled upon a guy. I did some historical research, and most people when they think of communism, the first guy they think of is Karl Marx, and they think Karl Marx was pretty much the first guy who really made communism popular. But that's not true. And there was a guy before Karl Marx, um, and that's Moses Hess. And he was pretty much the teacher of Karl Marx. He was the guy who really came up with, all those modern forms of communism. It wasn't Karl Marx. Karl Marx wasn't the inventor. Uh, he was like the propagandist. He promoted all those communist ideologies, but he was not the one who came up with them. He was not the one who invented the modern forms of communism. It was Moses Hess. Now, why do I say this in a video about the killings related to the movie that is mocking Muhammad? What's the relation? I just realized that there is a relation, kind of. So I'm going to say this. This Moses Hess guy is very similar, I think, to the guy who made this movie, um, which is, the movie that is mocking Muhammad. Uh, it's. I think those two people are extremely similar. Because I did some research into Moses Hess, and I did some research into that guy who made the movie, so I just realized there are parallels, and that's probably something nobody has realized. But I think this is the truth because, at least that's what I think. I think this is really what's behind this, namely this Moses Hess guy. Now let's start with the filmmaker. Um, Oh well. Now let's start with the Moses Hess guy. This Moses Hess guy. Now, when you hear the name, you think he's a Jew. He's Jewish. That's not exactly true. You would, at first thought, when you first look at it, you would think he's Jewish. He wasn't really Jewish. He would he was claiming to be Jewish, that's true. But the reason he was claiming to be Jewish was not because he was a Jew. On the contrary, he was against Jews. He hated Jews like he hated every religion. This guy was full of hatred, and he hated. I don't. I don't think he was an atheist. Those people, communist is a atheist. You could say communism is an atheistic religion. But so every communist is an atheist. But those guys who came up with communism, those were not atheists. But he was not a Jew either. He was, well, maybe he was a Jew, genetically, but he was not a believer in Judaism. Neither Karl Marx nor Moses Hess were believers in Judaism. But Moses Hess did claim to be a Jew. But the reason he claimed that was he did believe in God. He was not an atheist. He did believe in God, but he hated him. Both Karl Marx and Moses Hess, they both hated God. And if you look into what they wrote, you can see that. I'm not going to go into that too much because I still want to go back to the original topic. So so anyway, keep in mind this guy hated God, and there's also some evidence that Moses Hess, as well as Karl Marx, but mostly Moses. Now we're talking about Moses Hess. Moses Hess. There is evidence that Moses Hess was actually a Satanist. And now you can understand why he hated God. And now you can also understand why he claimed to be a Jew. He did not claim to be a Jew because he wanted to promote Judaism. He claimed to be a Jew because he hated religion, and he wanted to make religions look bad. He wanted to destroy religion. And what better way to do that than from the inside? If you're going to blow up a building, it's like those terrorists. If you're going to blow up a building, you best do it from the inside, then it blows up the best. If you do it from outside, it's harder. So then the same goes with destroying anything. The best way to destroy something is from the inside. So what this guy did, this Moses Hess guy, is he claimed to be a Jew, and then he spread. Now when we're thinking about racism, we're thinking about Adolf Hitler. But before Adolf Hitler, there was this Moses Hess guy, and most of the ideas from Adolf Hitler, he didn't come up with that himself. The first guy who came up with all that was Moses Hess. He was really the first guy who came up with, he was basically the inventor of communism, as well as, let's put it this way, he was basically the inventor of socialism as well as National Socialism. And he made some outrageous claims and some outrageous statements, mainly saying things like Jews would be, the best humans, and every other races would be inferior, and, all those racist kind of things, He was really, really, he was a racist, very much. Well, why would he do that? As I said, his goal was to destroy religions. So when he makes such statements, when he goes out there claiming to be a Jew and saying things, we Jews are better than any other race and we will dominate all the other races, and all this stuff he said, that was, that's also what made it possible, for Adolf Hitler to do his stuff, because, now where all the propaganda comes from. Adolf Hitler used this stuff and turned it around and used it to persecute Jews. So, why did Moses Hess do that? I think that's exactly what he intended. That's exactly what he wanted to happen. He wanted people to, get offended by what he said, by like, he wanted people to get very, very offended, and naturally people will get offended. If you see a Jew there, claiming, "Oh, we Jews are better than you, and we will destroy all the other races." If somebody says something like that, of course it's gonna incite hatred, and then people will turn around and start hating Jews. And that's exactly what he intended, I think. That's exactly what this Moses Hess guy wanted, you know. Because his goal was to destroy religions. So by doing this, he makes Jews and Judaism look bad, because he mixed all those things together. He mixed, those racism together with Judaism and stuff like that, so that people would hate Jews, and so that he would be able, to give birth to socialism and National Socialism and all those things. He wanted that. He wanted all those things to happen, I think. So he was a very bad person. What does this have to do with the guy who made the movie, the Mohammed mocking movie? Simple. I think he's pretty much the same kind of guy. If you watch the movie, your first impression would be that the movie maker would be a Christian, but he's not a Christian. And if you look into the guy who made this movie, it becomes pretty clear that he's not a Christian. I don't exactly know what his agenda is, but I'm guessing his agenda too is, he's trying to attack religion. He's not only trying to attack Islam. At first thought, you would think, oh, he's a he's a Christian trying to attack Islam. But I don't think so. A Christian would not do that. Why not? Because, well, at least a smart Christian would not do that. Maybe a stupid Christian, but any Christian with half a brain, even if it's a Christian that hates Islam, maybe there are some Christians that do hate Islam. I think that's also something they should not do that. I mean, if they look into the Bible and stuff, it says stuff about, being tolerant and not, not discriminating against others. But obviously they must have skipped those passages. So anyway, even a Christian that hates Islam would not do that. He would not make such a movie. At least not in the way that this movie was made. Because this movie tried to make it very clear that, or at least this movie pretended to have been done by Christians trying to attack Islam. So if you watch this movie, you think, okay, it's Christians attacking Islam. A Christian would not do it in such a way, because obviously this would backfire, right? I mean, because it would just, cause people to hate Christians. Not only, this movie causes people not only to hate Islam, but it also causes people to hate Christians, thinking that Christians, would be like this movie maker, and they're not. So I think if this movie maker was really a Christian, and if he had half a brain, and I think he had half a brain, because he's very calculating, when it comes to this movie, he's very calculating. He knows. I think they would think the Christians are attacking the Muslims, and then the Muslims are attacking back, and it causes all this violence, and the people would get the impression that religions are to blame for this. And this is precisely, and now, and this is where it fits in with this Moses Hess guy, because this is exactly what this Moses Hess guy did, and this is exactly what he intended to do. And I think the guy who made this movie was also such a guy. suppose I would be a Satanist, you know. And now we're not talking about your normal kind of Satanist, you know. I'm not talking, about, you know, I'm not talking about. There are some Satanists that are peaceful, but there are also many Satanists who are not peaceful, and of course, with Satanism, I mean, this is a part of it. I mean, with Satanism, you have to hate, you have to do bad things, basically. It's just part of it. So, um, well, I'm not saying. Of course, there was some. I know some Satanists, and some of those. I mean, those are also people, right? Some of those are very nice people, and they're not doing anything bad. But I'm not talking about those kinds of Satanists. I'm talking about a guy who really has bad intentions, who really is just thinking, okay, let's do as much harm as I can possibly do. And there are some bad people. There's like this lunatic who, murdered all those people in a in the theater, in a this Batman killer who killed all those people in the Batman film, and saying he was like the Joker and stuff. The point is, there was just some people are just lunatics, and it's just some people they some people just want to watch the world burn, right? some people for some people are not after money or anything else, or some people just want to watch the world burn, and some people are just thinking, how can I do as much damage as possible? I'm talking about those kinds of people, and if he thinks like that, and if on top of that he's a Satanist, well, if I would be such a person, that's exactly what I would do. I would make such a movie like, mocking Muhammad, and make it look like it was done by a Christian. And if you look into the guy who made this movie, he uses a lot of aliases, and it's very clear he's trying to hide his identity as much as possible. He was originally claiming to be a Christian, but now if you dig into it deeper, it becomes clear that he's not actually a Christian. So I think his true motive is this. He just wants to do damage. He just wants to watch the world burn. There's one more thing I forgot to mention. Some people are asking, well, where's the rest of the movie? There is no rest of the movie. This that movie was originally, this movie was a completely different movie. All the actors were thinking they were working on a completely different movie. Um, there, there is only the trailer that is on YouTube. If you want to watch the entire movie, then it's a different movie. It was intentionally recut, and the text was changed so as to insult Muhammad. There is no rest of the movie. It's only the trailer, and it was all done by this one guy. It's only this one guy. The actors and stuff, they were not involved at all, because what they were involved in was a different movie. So in a sense, this wasn't even a movie. There is no story to it, because the original story was a different story. The entire point of this was simply uh, to enrage Muslims. There isn't even a movie, so to speak of. It was simply made to enrage Muslims. That's so. Yeah, some people just want to watch the world burn.